We have heard about data and testing and budgets, but what about the mental health of students? How do you see our schools supporting the needs of students and their mental health?
Well, we do have programs in place for our students. We have counselors at every school, and I think I've seen a lot of different things since I've been on the board. I've also seen things as a parent. The teachers first and foremost, who know our kids the best and spend the most time with them, are not only concerned that they're getting, they're learning what they're trying to teach, but that they're okay. And there are programs in place, there are protocols, and there are policies that are followed. There's different things, like I got to participate in Challenge Day at Valley High School, and if you don't know what that is, it's definitely all about mental health, and it changed the entire culture of that school. So there are different innovative programs, I think, that different people can take initiatives, at the site level to do. And I know each school we have a character education program, which looks at how you take care of each other and respect and those kinds of things. We also have a new policy on bullying. So we're always looking at making sure our students have what they need. And we have partnerships with Access Mental Health when we really need those kinds of issues addressed. And we have people that are certified and licensed to help when there's really deep issues.
One of the greatest challenges of high-performing schools and school districts is the stress we put on our students. I mean, when I hear students saying, I'm going to take 5 AP classes, I sit there and go, oh my gosh, you're going to stress yourself out, because it is intense. Our student board rep happens to be taking 5 AP classes. Now, she can handle it. She is probably I know she's a heck of a lot smarter than I am. But we have to look at that. One of the things that just came forward, the board didn't vote on it, that we kind of gave direction, was class ranking. And we heard from the student board rep who had talked to students, we heard from teachers, we heard from the administration at the high school, and they said it's putting unneeded stress on our students. And so sometimes it's common sense to sit there and listen to your students, look what's happening to them, and see, gosh, is having something like class ranking that important is to put the extra stress on our students? And sometimes the answer is no. And if we do feel it's important, then we need to put the programs in place, which we have counselors on campus. And teachers, my wife's a teacher, for those that don't know, she has students come to her all the time with problems. And the teachers know what to do. They know how to approach it. They know where to send them for help. And so, a lot of it is just listening to our staff, listening to our administration, and doing what's best for our students.
So the class ranking issue is really a big issue. What happened was they got rid of class ranking, so they said the reason was that it would make our students less stressed. And I talked to a ton of students about this, and they all agreed that class ranking was really good. It was good for college exams or college applications. They needed it to get their college scholarships. And the only real argument to it was that we can't take more athletic classes and other art programs. And what I would like to see happen is reinstate our class ranking program, but have the opportunity for students to take more of these classes, to take more arts programs, to take more ROP classes, and not have it affect their class ranking. The second thing I want to bring up is our schools are really safe and the bullying is really low. And this is really due, especially in the high school, to 2 A's, Miss K, and Miss V. And without them, we really wouldn't have as safe schools as we do now. And I was talking to one of them, and they brought up to me in 2 years from now, they won't be able to be here because they don't have the support that they need. And we really need to make sure that they get the support that they need so they can stay here. And another one of them brought up to me that they would like to see an after-school program so kids who don't have a place to go at home can go to a safe place after school, play games and hang out in a safe environment. And I'd really want to see that happen too.
Dan and Amy made some great points about the mental health side of it, and we've all seen the movie Race to Nowhere, and we're aware of the stress we put on our kids, and one of the ways in which we're dealing with that, and this is a process over time, is going to be through the homework and the grading policies as well. So there are a lot of different programs, as has been mentioned, about how we look into this. I just want to make one brief comment about class rank. This was actually, it was quite a lively discussion. The Shimizu was there, gave a presentation, and all of our neighboring districts all have abolished it. And the reason that they are getting rid of it is because too many schools and scholarships are using it just as a convenient, easy filter in order to screen out kids who may be, still working very hard, but not, not absolutely at the highest of the class rank. So by getting rid of class rank, it forces these colleges and these institutions, people that are offering scholarships, to take a look at the whole child. There was a great article in the New York Times all explaining about how this works and the movement away from it. Because it forces them to look now at the whole application of the rigor of their curriculum. Because these kids were getting so stressed out for finding the difference between the first and the second and the third person in class rank is 1/100th of a grade point. And it's just too much. So we have a new system in place now where we're going to honor all the students at graduation that have a 4.0 or greater. We think that's going to be roughly about 50 students, and our kids are really responding also to the increased, to the various diploma recognitions that we have as well. So we believe we have lots of other ways now to recognize our students.
And just to add on to that, we got a lot of input from teachers from the high school and students also, and our student rep that Dan mentioned, who is taking 5 AP classes, had made some great comments and gave us the student perspective about why we shouldn't have class rank. It wasn't something that we just got rid of. There was a lot of research and a lot of conversation around it, and the teachers were really emphatic, that they wanted to see it go. And that doesn't mean that if a student doesn't need to know their class rank for their college application, that they can't find that out.
I think it's a great example of listening. I've heard tonight that we don't listen. I think it's a great example of how we listen, because we didn't bring the issue up. The high school came to us and said, what do you think? And our student board rep went and talked to the leadership class and talked to these high-performing students in our high school and asked them, what do you think? And came back, the kids that were, the top kids were saying, it doesn't do us any good, so why have it? The teachers are saying, it really doesn't do any good. All it does is you have these kids coming to you begging for the difference between a 99 and a 100 for 1 point, for hoping that they can move up, and it really wasn't increasing student learning. And the whole thing is, we want to increase student learning, so we listen to our teachers, we listen to our administrators, and we listen to our students, and that's what we did.
So I've talked to a ton of students, and I did a poll, and I've talked to over 50 students about this, and not one of them said that we should get rid of it. They said that they agree that we should make it more easy for students to take other classes. And I've talked to 2 valedictorians about this, and they both didn't agree that it really added extra stress, and it was just a bad excuse to get rid of it. But the thing that I really want to bring up is, imagine, they got rid of it this year, so imagine all the valedictorians and all the top people in their classes for the past 3 years that have been working so hard to be the top of their class, and now all their work is just out the door. It's gone. Because that's what really hurt me, is I saw a student crying over this. Somebody who was in top of her class, and she was just so devastated that they got rid of it.
Wait, I got one more Sorry, I have just one more comment. Part of being on the board, and this was a question I had to ask myself before I got on, was can I actually look at what's best for the greater good versus what's right just for my kids especially, and then, just for maybe my school community. I had to be able to separate, yes, I'm sure there were kids that were upset, but 5 kids, upset versus what's best for another 50 or maybe another 1,500 even. There are kids that don't even get close to being the top of the class and don't even think about it. It's not even on their radar. But for the few that it is, I'm sure it was a disappointment for them, and we don't take that for granted. But we're looking at what's best for most of our students. How can we help the most students? And that's what we felt was the right thing to do based on what we heard from the educators, mostly.
Okay, all right, Austin, last one.
Okay, we're talking for what's best for the greater good. But when I talked to these students, it wasn't just the top of the class. It was all students. And I also saw a lot of articles too, the research done, that was hurting students that didn't put class rank on their transcripts, and colleges and scholarships would ignore them more, even though they wouldn't completely do it, but it would still hurt them. And that's what